What's up, guys? How we doing? Got some surprising news here. Obviously, jumping on for a very unexpected reason, but as we do for all these breaking news situations, Thomas, I don't think if I would have told you we're going to trade for a player that the position would have been wide receiver, but that's what we have.
That's what we have. That's why, we're talking about unexpected. I'm traveling right now. I'm at my parents' house. Hence why I'm at my father's desk here. So shout out to him for letting me use this. John Metchie, Josh. John Metchie is a Philadelphia Eagle. And I know we have the trade to throw up here right now. For those just joining us, we have the compensation. It's weird. This is a very strange trade. And I have a couple of ideas on where Philadelphia is going with this. None of them make a ton of sense overall. But as you see it, I'm sure on your screen right now, Adam Schefter has it. Philadelphia is officially trading for John Metchie. And the compensation is Harrison Bryant and a 5th-round draft pick, and then, of course, Philadelphia gets back a 6th-round draft pick. And side note here, when Philadelphia traded with the Texans, remember for C.J. Gardner-Johnson, feels like forever ago, these were the draft picks that they swapped. So now they're getting back their original picks that they had way back when C.J. Gardner-Johnson was a Philadelphia Eagle. So it all comes full circle here. But, Josh, one, let's just say it right off the bat. No one thinks Philadelphia needs a wide receiver. I mean, you can go down the list, not just Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Everyone has said, we've talked to Jahan Dotson. Dotson has had an incredible camp on the football field, flashed a ton on the opening drive in the first preseason game, and then they benched him because they clearly have him as wide receiver 3. But Dotson aside, Johnny Wilson's had a very good camp the past couple of weeks, and then you have 3 other wide receivers, throw in Elijah Cooks as well when he's healthy, Anaya Smith, Darius Cooper, Terrace Marshall Jr., all seemingly battling for that 5th wide receiver spot. And so now you add Metchie, who is better talent-wise than those players, has played very little, and you look at the numbers, the production is really not there. 1 touchdown in his entire 40 career game with the Houston Texans. It's not like John Metchie is balled out with Houston. The Texans have a bunch of young receivers, including Nico Collins. They feel comfortable to move him. But where does he fit on the Philadelphia Eagles is something I, for one, right now can't understand.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to come to terms with. I do see, by the way, shout out to everybody in the chat. I'll, of course, make sure to drop a like for us. We appreciate it. I see a lot of comments. We got a couple of these as well. A.J. Brown, the hamstring injury, is it more significant than we thought for this day? I mean, you could go down that line of thinking, I don't believe that it's we need to trade for a John Metchie because A.J. Maybe it is because I don't have any info for sure to go off of. But, like, they still feel pretty confident about A.J. Brown. I don't know that this is like hey, he's going to miss, a week or two, so we need to get John Metchie. Like, you feel confident enough about Devontae Smith, all the names that you just went down the list of, right?
You would think so. And again, I had the first thought, too, of, what's A.J. Brown's hamstring injury? Now,
sure,
he was there when we were there 2 Tuesdays ago, seemed okay, but wasn't practicing. He doesn't practice the rest of the week. He then practices for the first 30 minutes of the open practice on Sunday, 2 Sundays ago. They pull him out of that, and then he hasn't practiced since. Now, there have been multiple reports from actual NFL insiders, Tom Pelissero, for instance, saying the Eagles are not concerned. But my first thought did go, what if AJ's hamstring is this kind of lingering issue all season long, and maybe they got to sit him longer than we think, or maybe he re-aggravates it. He has a high re-aggravation chance, and Philadelphia wants extra additional bodies in there, which makes sense, but you just said it. They already have a really good receiving core even without A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, Johnny Wilson, and then pick your poison on Darius Cooper or Anaya Smith or a mixture of the two is still really good. Not close to how good it is with A.J. Brown, but it still is a great core. And so I don't quite buy the idea that A.J. is hurt, but this does not help with the optics of A.J. Brown has basically not practiced at all the past 3 weeks. So I'm not going to go there.
Right.
But I don't think it's a 0% chance this has nothing to do with A.J. Brown. My hope is this is simply the Houston Texans have been trying to trade him for a while. They have too many receivers on their hand. And Howie said, why not? But then why didn't another team make a trade for him who actually needed a wide receiver? It's the receiver part of this that's so weird. We were talking about a cornerback right now, Josh. We'd be making, Howie did it again. He got a cornerback. It's a wide receiver. Do you have any other theories on this one?
I've really tried to wrestle and wrap my head around it. And again, this is like where everybody else. So we understand, like on the chat, a couple comments like, hey, maybe since he couldn't catch his moat, we can turn him into a cornerback. I don't know. It's hard to come to terms with it. I'm with you of the sense of like, okay, look, there's a little bit of depth in some areas. Don't necessarily need it for wide receiver, but Metchie had been a guy who had been rumored for a long time for the Eagles. So we can get that straight. Like if you go back and look, you and I talked about him, 2 years ago. Like it's
2
been a
years ago.
constant
Yeah.
theme of like, well, every once in a while there's, hey, is he available? Right? Could he be reunited with Devontae Smith? There's a connection there. With Jalen Hurts. Would he be able to fit in this offense? Kind of a short target, intermediate route, like that type of guy to add. So okay, fine. Yeah, there's a possibility. The timing of it is very strange. I will certainly give you that. I'm still also, like I say, trying to figure this thing out. But it's not a whole lot of competition. And again, I'll put it back up here on the screen. We had it for a while. But again, just for those joining and had not caught this, the official compensation is Harrison Bryant,
Nothing.
5th round pick, and the Eagles get John Metchie, 6th round pick. We have so many picks. We have 13 picks. That's nothing. And not to mention if they end up getting another comp pick, so it won't account to anything. So for someone that's going like, yeah, but we had to just swap rounds, to get him, that we don't need him, anything, there's nothing. Like the Eagles literally, when you look back at this, they will have given up nothing to get the John Metchie project potential. And who knows, is it a longer term play? You got a guy like John Metchie who's not proven himself, Jahan Dotson who is more so proven himself, still not quite, but we're seeing him seemingly turn a corner, get the chemistry with Jalen Hurts. I don't know that I totally would go all in on this theory, but while we're speculating, because we're trying to come to terms with this, is it hey, you know what? We got some options here. We get through the end of the season. If we like John Metchie, you extend him. You have him as your wide receiver 3 of sorts, or is it a figure out something with Jahan Dotson? I don't know. It's still kind of crazy, but you didn't give up anything to get it. It's a risk-free situation.
Totally risk-free. It's just a matter of what happens now. And I think if you're Jahan Dotson, I mean, what was his reaction to this thing? Because Jahan Dotson was a number 1 wide receiver in the making, and then he gets traded, and then basically, falls off a cliff last year, and then he, makes the excuse. I shouldn't say excuse. He has very legit excuse of being he was traded late in the offseason, which is like almost to the week that he was traded now with this trade, which is interesting. Didn't have time to get comfortable in the Eagles system. This year, he's going to be different. I had this idea, well, maybe they're about to trade Jahan Dotson to free up more money for another big move. And of course, like 3 hours ago, the Trey Hendrickson trade stuff popped. If people didn't see that, the Bengals are now officially open for Trey Hendrickson, which I'm not saying is going to happen. But I saw that theory on Twitter. The problem with that, though, Josh, John Metchie's base salary this year is $1.8 million. Jahan Dotson's is $1 million and a couple of, extra 100,000 mixed in there, like 1.2. So you're not going to trade Jahan Dotson and bring in John Metchie to save money, because that doesn't make any sense either. Both are also free agents next year. One's restricted, one's unrestricted, but it's virtually the same. So the idea that you're trading for a younger player who's going to be here more long-term, no. If you want to keep either of them, you got to sign them. Neither of them are going to be on the Eagles roster in 2026 as currently constructed by their contract. So maybe this is simply the fact that the Eagles have shown us in the past that they like guys coming out of the NFL draft. And if they don't get them, eventually, maybe they want to circle back and grab them. They love Josh Uche.
Yeah.
They wanted to trade for Josh Uche seemingly forever. They love Azeez Ojulari. And guess what? They get to the point where they can be cheap and available. And so you bring them in, and maybe what they saw when they scouted John Metchie is what they believe that he can be, which is kind of like a Jameson Williams, kind of like a Jahan Dotson. This slot Swiss Army knife can move the football around. They love doing end arounds to him at Houston. He's got speed. I mean, he's great. But it's just confusing because we're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, who every Eagles fan, when you ask, why are the Eagles going to repeat? Well, they have one of the best receiving corps in the National Football League already, and
that they do.
It's been pretty crowded so far during training camp.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. And by the way, Anthony here, shout out to him, says, damn, yeah, it's about time, just a year or two later. So
yeah, exactly.
Almost had that. And also he does say Metchie is going to be a restricted free agent, not an unrestricted, due to the 1 year of the NFI while he battled cancer, which is notable. So, a little bit of optionality in there, if you will, but still, it's like, I don't know. There's tons of theories. I see these. I appreciate these in the comments. It is interesting. Is it a planning for Howie to make a future move? Does he want to use the other chess pieces to say, hey, it's freebie basically to us. It doesn't cost us anything to add another potential wide receiver. We like that talent. Maybe we parlay that into another move. It's just, why wouldn't you just go ahead and make that trade if, let's say, hey, we wanted to do another cornerback, which I'm not saying that I do. That might be too early, but nonetheless, it's just crazy to do that. By the way, I'll shout out to some of these super chats. I'll get to quickly. John with the 2-bomb, appreciate that. Way to spice up a Sunday Howie. There we go.
Geez. Exactly. I was playing cards with my family like 5 minutes ago, and then I got a text. I was like, what did we do? I thought corner. If he was going to make a move, it would be for a corner.
Or Justin Simmons, finally joining the team, right? Yeah.
Yes. It's
Although
very
Mukuba
interesting.
played, better, so he's got to.
True. There is an idea here, Josh, that Howie Roseman the past, I'd say 3 years, has really tried to make sure that if he were to lose a star player, that the depth behind him would be strong enough to not have a noticeable impact, right? You talk about last year, Fred Johnson, Mekhi Becton. Neither of them were supposed to start. Mekhi Becton eventually did. Clearly, the plan going into that year was to make sure they have a Lane Johnson and a Jordan Mailata replacement in case one of the two were to go out, and they would be fine. This year, they don't really have that, so maybe my theory is nullified. But if you were to take one player on the Eagles offense who, besides Lane Johnson, has a dramatic impact on being out there versus not being out there, it's probably A.J. Brown. Because they can still run the football without
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley. They won't be as dominant, but they can still run the football with A.J. Dillon and Will Shipley, go sign some free agent. They could figure it out. You lose A.J. Brown in the current Eagles offense. Are they still good? Yes. Are they as scary? No. And so maybe the idea here is, let's just make sure if we were to lose Devontae Smith or heaven forbid lose A.J. Brown, we have another, second round wide receiver who has the talent to maybe carry us in the long run. And maybe it's just as simple as that. It's injury assurance because it's so cheap. Because like you said, this costs nothing. I mean, Philadelphia
Mhm.
gives up literally nothing to do this. There's no real hit to the cap space besides like $1 million. So maybe it's just a matter of, hey, Howie's always calling people, who do you got? Oh, John Metchie? Yeah, I mean, might as well, put him on the back burner, throw him in the freezer just in case, heaven forbid, week 13, we need some help.
Yeah, and they didn't feel like they needed Harrison Bryant, obviously, because Kylan Granson been
Clearly.
there, Nick Muse,
Clearly.
Cameron Latu
Yes.
played fairly well in the last preseason game. So you have options. So maybe they're just saying, let's go ahead. We don't need that. We're going to be fine. Tight end position, EJ Jenkins as well. But yeah, like Jay here with the 2 says, could it just be a luxury trade? And that's kind of along the lines of what we're talking. Could be, hey, the rich get richer, and it's a risk free. So why not? A little bit of extra firepower. You can't have too many good playmakers with the ball if they see the potential. I know the comments, and I see people as well. It's like, yeah, bro, he hasn't done much. True, but it's a different offense. It's a different system. He's familiar with City, like we went down the line there. Also, good point on AJ though, because it was I think it's 18-0 last year, right? When AJ and,
they didn't lose,
and Jalen start a game, finish a game together, 18-0. So
yep,
it speaks for itself.
And that Saints game, they didn't throw the football very well, right?
No.
I mean, that was a clear
No.
one that you remember where they had to be bailed out by Saquon. The ball did not move, vertically that well. He's a big reason why Philadelphia is successful, obviously. The one thing about this being a luxury trade, if you're Houston, though, Josh, wouldn't you call any other team that doesn't have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and just see what they would give you for John Metchie? Like, what if you could get a fifth and not give up anything else in return? Because that team needed a wide receiver. Like, there are plenty of wide receiver needy teams. Like, you could send him to, the Houston Texans. You could send him to a whole bevy of teams that definitely. I mean, if I was the New York Giants, I have Malik Neighbors and a bunch of nobodies. Wouldn't you like John? I mean, if the Giants fans traded for John Metchie for a 5th-round draft pick right now, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, what an incredible trade!" You're just surprised that the Texans, out of all 32 teams, chose the one team that has this many elite receivers. And I was like, "Oh, okay, this works."
It's a little unusual, but Howie's always calling around, right? So there's never a move that he doesn't like, or at least a potential thought. So keep it in the NFC. Not that I don't think that they envision going, well, we don't want to trade Metchie because he's gonna hurt us, right? He's gonna come back. No offense to him, but like, he hasn't done much. So I don't think that's. But still, sometimes it's, well, let's not trade. Obviously, in our division, let's not trade. Maybe in our conference. If we end up so happening to play the Eagles in the Super Bowl, we'll deal with it, right? If Metchie somehow got them there, it's not a Saquon Barkley caliber type of, not that we trade, but like, hey, we're letting another team get that type of guy. So, I mean, maybe they liked the Harrison Bryant part of it. I don't know.
Harrison Bryant has not done much in Eagles training camp.
They had already done the trade before, so maybe they just wanted the pick swap back. It
does
so
seem
strange.
like Howie does trade with certain teams way more than others. Like, he's got a connection with the Browns. He's got a connection with the Texans. He had a connection with the Jets whenever Joe Douglas was there. Howie picks and chooses his relationships, and he tries not to screw those teams. He talked about it in a recent interview. I'm trying to remember who it was with. Bustin' the Boys, it might have been.
Yeah.
And Howie talked about how you don't want to just fleece somebody, then they're never going to call you again. 5 years down the line, it's like, oh, well, Howie Roseman fleeced us, 5 years ago, and so I don't want to do it again. He clearly has his positions, and I think back to the Gardner Johnson trade kind of started the conversation, and then Kenyon Green, and now, of course, we're back here with another trade. So
I was going to say why he will probably never get a pickup from the Titans anymore. So
exactly,
you see AJ Brown, you're like, well, Okay,
good.
good luck. Eli with the 7. Appreciate that, man. Been chatting on Instagram. Both of us says, "Hey boys, I'm back. Chatted with both of you on Instagram, but couldn't be
Let's
on the
go.
streams. Back-to-back years of trading for wide receiver a week before the season. As Thomas said, almost identical date and time for the John Dotson one. So
It's close.
it's a little eerily similar. I don't know. Last year made more sense. It was still one of those where you're kind of like, okay, like I didn't see that coming. But it's
yes.
cool. We could probably use that. We could probably use an extra. This year, you're going into it. We got a lot of guys. Johnny Wilson started playing. We went through the whole list a second ago. Like all the guys and the hype of Darius Cooper. The sad part is, I don't know that Darius Cooper makes the 53-man roster
I don't
now.
think
Like
he
in
does.
one move,
I don't
it
think he
changes.
does.
And
I know.
Cooper did not hurt himself. We're not going to go deep dive into the preseason game. And you dropped a video, the recap and things like that most recently, so people can check that out. But Cooper did not hurt himself. In the preseason game. That was quarterback play, O-line, all that other stuff. But then one move like this, and you go, it's probably not. You would lean towards him. Not that he can't still win out, but you would lean towards him potentially not making the roster now.
Yeah, I think so. If you're Darius Cooper, if you're Anais Smith, Anais Smith can't make this roster anymore unless they keep 6, right? Unless he's going to be number 6 because you have 4 guaranteed because they barely played Johnny Wilson on Saturday, and that tells you they want to keep Johnny Wilson. So Wilson would be your 4th with Dotson, Smitty, and AJ. Now you have your 5th in John Metchie, who obviously is going to make the roster. Unless they keep 6, and Anais Smith's gone too. And Anais Smith has had a very, very good offseason. He has a great training camp so far, or I should say preseason. He was the only receiver yesterday who did much of anything, 2 catches, but no one else did that much.
Right.
Maybe there's a scenario, Josh, where they have a trade in place with a team who wants Jihaad Dotson for a cornerback, and they were just getting ahead of it. That way they could bring in the receiver to replace Jihaad Dotson. But wouldn't you then, if that was the scenario, do the trade first, but just have Metchie in place? That way you would then pull the trigger on Metchie after you guarantee that you could trade Jihaad Dotson for a corner. Yeah, so that doesn't make any sense either.
Well, right. I hear you. It could be a handshake type thing. It does seem like you would do one before the other, and cart before the horse in that instance. But Tyler here with a 10. Appreciate that. Tyler says Johnny and Nias or Darius, so similar along those lines. Johnny and Nias or Darius Cooper going to be a trade piece for someone, calling it defensive help, in my opinion. So along those lines of, do you get somebody?
Hey, let's say this from Jordan Schultz 3 minutes ago. Jordan Schultz broke the trade, and he just said this, Josh. Text from an AFC GM. Don't think the Eagles are done with trades. They have so many picks next year, and that team is always going to be aggressive. That's a text from an AFC GM to Jordan Schultz, I believe, of The Athletic. So,
okay. Yes.
Everyone's trying to think of some grand conspiracy here, Josh, that this is the first domino in Howie Rosmean pulling off some sort of crazy move. And it might be. What is it, though? Right?
Right.
How does John Metchie start the domino effect here unless the next move includes Jihaad Dotson? That's the only way that this makes sense. But again,
the other names that Tyler was mentioning there. It could be.
Yeah,
it's a little less likely, but maybe they're like, hey, we'll have surplus. So
sure, but if we're doing a grand conspiracy here that the Eagles are not done with big trades, like let's say that they go and get some big safety or get some big cornerback, and it must include a wide receiver player, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be Jihaad Dotson, though.
True.
It has to be Jihaad Dotson.
But again, why are we?
No one wants Darius Cooper because you could probably just get him in free agency, right? Just get him off the waiver wire.
Yeah.
That's
Johnny Wilson would be a maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if teams love Johnny Wilson. Philly does, but the other teams?
It would still shock me if they were, because
I'd be shocked.
Howie is always thinking. There's always, he's 5 steps ahead, right? But Metchie, and I'm seeing all these comments. We totally get it. Appreciate it as well. From the Metchie's a good move, a luxury move, like it, don't like it, Metchie's mid, all this other stuff. Metchie's unproven.
Right.
If he could be good. But we kind of just went through this with Jihaad Dotson. We're like, hey, this is so great that he's had the offseason, that he's been here with Jalen. He's developed the chemistry. Like, to pull the plug on that, to go, yeah, well, hey, Jalen, because it takes a lot for Jalen Hurts to admit things like that. And he himself was hyping up Jihaad Dotson. Yeah, we got in the reps. He put in the work.
Time.
I feel a whole lot more comfortable. We've seen it based on the reports. And for them to just go, yeah, hey, sorry about you. We traded Jihaad. Now Jalen can make all the receivers work, and maybe it's Johnny Wilson, maybe it is John Metchie, it's others. but it just feels like that's a very risky move if we're going down that line of thinking, if we're going down the line of thinking of, hey, maybe AJ's, because look, if AJ's injury is a little bit more significant and it's going to be a couple weeks into the season, there can't be a world where Dotson gets traded, right? Like
Yeah.
that would be ridiculous.
I think
No matter how great you feel like about John Mechie.
I totally agree. I'm just trying to. Everyone is trying to tie
No,
this.
I hear you, and I
to some big
agree.
Conspiracy. It's like, well,
Yeah,
how else
yeah.
do you do it? Now, there is something here, Josh, that because we are not Texan fans, I forgot. The Texans tight end, Brevin Jordan, tore his ACL 6 days ago. So this could all simply be Houston was looking around the league, who has a surplus of tight ends. Philadelphia is one of them. Harrison Bryant technically has somewhat of a track record, even though he hasn't done much in Philly right now during training camp. The Texans picked up the phone. What do you want for Harrison Bryant? And Howie was like, John Mechie? And they were like, okay, yeah. And then we'll just swap our picks back. It could be that simple. It could be that, and then it's just like throw John Mechie into this system, and he does something, or you just pay him the remaining of his $1.8 million this year, and nothing else happens. It could be that simple, and probably is.
Right. Yeah.
It's just with Howie Roseman and now an anonymous GM texting Jordan Schultz that the Eagles aren't done, that makes us all go into crazy town here. If they are not done, Josh, it has to be for a secondary piece, right?
You would think so.
There's no other move on this team that they need.
Unless maybe an O-lineman if they're feeling really bad in a way after
nowhere else.
The last preseason. Yeah. No. Keep an eye out, though, too. I would say this. Remember, Anaya Smith was able to stay on the roster and didn't have to get waived or practice squad because of the injury, phantom injury roster, all the wizardry that Howie likes to use there. So it could be a situation also where, hey, Howie wants to see what he does there on that side, but you don't want to lose a guy like an Anaya Smith or Johnny Wilson's more so set in stone, I think, but like an Anaya Smith, or if it's Terrace Marshall hasn't played a whole lot, but there's some out there. Could be a Darius Cooper. But if it's one of those, maybe he, all of a sudden we have there's so-and-so on the IR with an ankle injury, and then they sneak onto the roster that way. So it could be an instance there where he says, you know what, that's something we can figure out, but this is just worth a shot. Just see what we got. If Metchie doesn't contribute until we get into the playoffs, and by then he's built up enough chemistry to have a little bit of something here or there, hey, why not? It doesn't hurt to get an extra weapon. So
I see someone saying we are going to trade Jahan Dotson in a second for Trey Hendrickson. Book it, guys. Trey Hendrickson is such a. I would be so.
Oh my
stunned.
gosh.
And you want to talk about teams that don't need wide receivers? Did the Cincinnati Bengals need Jahan Dotson? I mean, they're like the other. They're like the AFC, the Eagles. They don't need Jahan Dotson.
They do not.
Why would Jahan Dotson be like this missing piece that Philly must include to get Trey Hendrickson? That doesn't make any sense.
No, none at all.
You just keep Dotson and give up picks if you really wanted Trey Hendrickson, which I don't think they do.
Right.
So,
and as good as he is, he's going to cost a fortune because you have to get the deal done if you were to trade for him.
So much money.
Not that the Eagles couldn't use a little bit of help on the D-line, but we've seen that they're starting to play a little bit better. The starters are solid, obviously. As we talked about a second ago, secondary would be one of those pieces if there's anything that you're trying to trade for. So I agree. Several other super chats I'll run through here. Tanner with a 10. Appreciate that. Schultz saying the 49ers were trying to trade. Okay, so Schultz saying 49ers were trying to trade for John Mechie. Eagles made a better offer. This might be part of the reason why Howie got him. He may have wanted to make sure that San Francisco didn't get him. I don't know that it's – I think there was interest there. Again, we were talking about it a second ago. Is Metchie – if this was a Devontae Smith type of caliber trade, sure. Is Metchie a move the needle? Like, I don't want San Francisco to get Metchie. No offense.
Yeah.
No. So
I'm shocked San Francisco didn't offer more. You talk about teams that need wide receivers.
They could
ACL for one of their guys. I mean, Ricky Pearsall's their best player, right? I mean, goodness gracious, if you're a 49er fan right now, I mean, you are going
to take the wide receiver.
You're going to march to John Lynch's house. Like, just give up one.
They want Jahan Dotson
to get. Yeah. That.
Don't do it, but they would want Jahan Dotson. So
crazy. Yeah.
Lots of injuries there.
Welcome to Howie Roseman in August, Josh. I mean, literally, just start marking down. This is 4 or 5 years in a row. Anthony DeBona had a great article on PhillySpecial.com. Fun plug. I'm sure he'll have a great article on this as well coming out later tonight. Where it's every year. He's done this. Gardner Johnson, Jahan Dotson, then this. I mean, they are making trades in August, and it's just Howie going to practice and Howie looking around. And he's just pick up the phone, okay, move something here, move something there. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Didn't work with Dotson last year. Did work with Gardner Johnson. Will we go, 8 months from now and say, man, that John Metchie trade, wow, what a steal for Howie Roseman? Or we'll sit here and go, John Metchie, you're out $1,000,000. So
Yeah.
what? It's going to be one of the two.
Yeah, it didn't cost you anything. So, Terrell with a 2 says this is a pivot to a different trade. That 6th is
See?
key. So staying with it.
Is it?
John also saying Howie's not done yet, as a lot of people, and we are probably speculating the same thing. Jordan Schultz, I'll put it back up here on the screen as well again. But text from an AFC GM: don't think the Eagles are done with trades. They have so many picks next year. That team is always going to be aggressive. To what extent? Who knows? We can speculate this thing to death. Good money would basically all year round say Howie's not done, though. Like, knowing Howie, you could say it at any point of the season, any point of the offseason, and you could say, well, the Eagles, they're not done. Howie's going to make a trade. But we'll see what type of move maybe that ends up being. Mr. K, or Mr. Q, excuse me, with a 2 says A.J. Brown's hamstring issues causing some moves. So there's another thought.
We mentioned that earlier. It's hard to believe that would be the reason to go ahead and do this, because they already have Jahan Dotson, and they've loved Darius Cooper so far during training. Darius Cooper was going to make the roster till about 35 minutes ago, Josh. I thought he was pretty much a lock.
So.
I thought he was going to be guaranteed practice squad. I thought that they would keep 6. That way he could slide in there and kind of be the 6th guy behind Anais Smith. Now he's not. I mean, and they like Darius Cooper.
Yeah.
You could make the argument that if you were to go ahead and ask Aaron Moorhead, would you rather have John Metchie or Darius Cooper, he might say Darius Cooper because Cooper's had the entire offseason, and they've been working with him. When we were at training camp, they're pulling him to the side. They are trying to get this guy as good as possible because they see a lot in him. Now they bring in some guy they've never worked with who's got to learn the playbook in basically 2 weeks. I mean, they got to figure this out ASAP because they're going to start Dallas prep this week. If not, they already have been. So you just wonder. This is confusing. I mean, normally you can figure out what Howie's thinking here. Like C.J. Gardner-Johnson, you need a safety. Jahan Dotson, wide receiver 3. Yeah. This is confusing. We truly don't know. I don't think it's for A.J. Brown's hamstring, but we can't rule that out until A.J. Brown obviously comes back on the football field. And if he's not back there by Thursday of next week, Josh, I do think alarm bells might be raised a little bit.
Yeah, they'll definitely start raising the level of that anxiety
slowly.
For sure. I would say this is kind of, to a similar extent, at least in terms of how I think this trade might be viewed, of the like trying to rationalize it right and make sense. The C.J. Gardner-Johnson for Kenyon Green. When that happened, we're like, what? We're trading C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and we're getting Kenyon Green. Like, what's going? Like, right? Because you say most of the time we can rationalize. When we got C.J. Gardner-Johnson, it's like, yes, we need a safety. When that happened, without the knowledge that we eventually got, it was why would you? What sense does this make? There's no sense that this thing makes here. And we're seeing as things have played out now more that it's like even more so. We got the info that was kind of shared there, the common denominator in the locker room. So it was more of a cultural move. It was more of a moving on, trying to get the right guys, all this other stuff. That eventually gets found out. We'll probably get a little bit more of insight as time goes on, obviously, and there's a little bit more that gets leaked and the beat writers get on it and things like that. But yes, at the moment, I mean, we've literally covered every topic from it's a trade setup, it's a luxury move, it's a guy they think can make a big impact, it's just a swing and see what happens. Who knows? We've speculated all over the place. It's what makes it fun, but it's also like there's no rhyme or reason really for where this thing's going. And the AJ hamstring deal. Eli with the 2 says Asante Samuel up next. That was the other potential move and signing.
You
on
just
that
sign
side.
him.
You don't have to trade
at this point.
Eli also is following that up, saying one of the Browns corners maybe. I don't know if it's Greg Newsome or others, but trying to trade that bit. JC with a 5. Let's not focus on Metchie's recent production. He was battling leukemia. For sure takes a bit to get back to your full strength. He will be fine.
True. The leukemia was a while ago, though, right? I mean, in reality, and I know obviously it's a massive deal, but we're talking 3 years ago. 2022 was when they played the Texans in Houston, and Devontae Smith was wearing a John Metchie T-shirt in pregame warmups because that was right when the diagnosis had happened. Leukemia has been there a while. The Metchie issue is he's never really found his footing in Houston. And they had other weapons. They loved Tank Dell until he, blew out his knees like 4 different times. They loved Nico Collins. Now they have 2 young wide receivers I'm blanking on right now. And if it's Wiggins or Daniels or whatever the last name is, who they think is going to be like the next Nico Collins part 2, right?
So Iowa State.
There's no more room on that roster for him. And he didn't really blossom into what they thought he would be. He's a second-round draft pick. I mean, this is a guy who was highly touted coming out of Alabama. He was basically the running mate on that Alabama team with Devontae Smith. And so maybe he finds a home in Philadelphia. If not, though, he's kind of running out of places because Houston needed receivers whenever they first got him. Even with leukemia and post-leukemia, he never really figured it out.
Yeah. But you never know. I mean, if he can
You never know.
find something in this offense, if they like
Sure.
it, and again, that's where we're total speculation and seeing where this thing goes. And we want it to work out. Regardless of what the area is, if it's a trade and a turn and trade, try to get something back. Jay Carver, what's up? How's it going? Says, hope this is a simple buy and turnover with him. Keep Dotson and batch John with some picks to grab a cornerback. Should have kept Isaiah Rodgers at a minimum. That last bit for sure. But
yeah, maybe. Yeah,
maybe
I definitely agree
move.
with that. Clearly, Philadelphia, we said this before, but clearly Philadelphia thinks they have their cornerback on the roster. Howie made his cornerback trade a couple of weeks ago. It was Ja'Cory Bennett, who played very well, by the way, yesterday, which I talked about on my show. I dropped a couple hours ago. You should check it out on my channel because Bennett was, to me, the biggest bright spot. We think about Mukuba, and the pick six was fantastic, and I loved it. But the bright spot for me yesterday was the fact Ja'Cory Bennett looked better than Adoree Jackson and Kelee Ringo. And so you sit here and you go, we need to get a cornerback. Well, they just did. They're just waiting for him to get comfortable. And if they really thought that Ja'Cory Bennett wasn't the guy already, then they would have made a move. But right now, this kind of feels like it because you are running out of time. Unless you want to make a deadline trade, which Philadelphia's done a lot the past couple of seasons, and it's never worked out. I mean, think Kevin Byard most recently, and then the edge rusher from the Bears. Yeah. This is kind of it. Figure it out now. Make your final trades. They just did. If they want to get one more, they better hurry up because the defender needs to get in Vic Fangio's system quick because it's a lot to learn. And Vic Fangio, of all people, wants you to have reps in his system before he's going to play you.
And that's where the patience comes into it, because it's like, I get it. I was doing this during, and by the way, try not to ever leave again during a live stream. That was, we missed you.
Sorry
let's just say that. We missed you.
Sorry about that.
I know, you already had a preseason engagement. But it was, it's let's just say it's different doing it solo. But on that note, during the stream, and I guess it happens every stream, but certainly during that one, because of the way that it's like, man, it's boring at times, very sloppy in a lot of areas, issues, concerns, all this other stuff that popped up. I get the knee-jerk reactions that can happen, but there's also like exercise some patience because, as you're saying there, even with Ja'Cory Bennett, he's made some plays. He's given up some plays. We've seen this throughout. It was better in the preseason game there, but he's still incredibly new to this Fangio system and trying to figure things out. So I understand, and I'm with everyone in the sense of like, I don't know that we have our cornerback 2 figured out. And yes, it would be great to have Zay. If Isaiah Rodgers was here, this would be gone. We would be, we'd be so confident right now. It would be maybe safety. Is it going to be Mukuba? You got a last second chance. You potentially sign Justin Simmons. Maybe take care of that. But it's just one move. Otherwise, we're sitting here and going like, I don't know, man. It could be Adoree Jackson day one. It could be Kelee Ringo, Ja'Cory Bennett if he could pick it up quickly enough. People saying to make a trade, but that trade element to me is going, they already made a significant, not a superstar move, but a significant move to trade and get Ja'Cory Bennett. If you were to just immediately say, let's trade another or let's sign another, that's making it way too quick of an overreaction to not give Ja'Cory Bennett enough time, because then you've also almost doubled down. Because what if that move also doesn't hit? Well, then you've made 2 moves. You've ruined it for both of them because neither of those guys can get enough reps. And what are you going to do with Adoree Jackson? Does he get cut? It's just compounding issues. So I'm with you. I think it's like, let's see what they have. There could be another move. Yes, the speculation of what's being set up here, but I still am kind of just leaning towards this is something that Howie has a relationship with the Texans. They called him or he called them, say, hey, what would it take? Deal gets done, cool, and it's a free swing. If it works out in some way, great. If not, it didn't cost you anything. Harrison Bryant wasn't making the roster. There weren't any future plans for him. And maybe Metchie is down the road. So we'll see. Lots of other Super Chats here. Fanny with a 2 says Wilson is trade bait for his height. Dotson stays. So going with the if we're trading for a wide receiver, Johnny Wilson trade bait. Yes.
Yeah, sure. What are you going to get for Johnny Wilson?
I think they like Johnny Wilson too much to do that, quite
honestly.
honestly.
They do too. And I don't think his height is that good of a trade thing because you can be tall. Ask Dorial Green Beckham how much his height actually earned him eventually throughout the National Football League.
That's true. You had to bring that one up. If Johnny keeps making catches, it's true. But if he keeps making catches the way that he has, and very, very short, limited sample size recently, but the slot fade looks pretty good. Looks pretty good if he can hold on to it there. Jay with a 2. Come on. Howie about to build up for Micah. this is not a
because that's
preemptive Micah
the missing
Parsons
piece
trade.
in a Dallas Cowboys trade for Micah Parsons. All they wanted was John Metchie all along.
Oh
Philadelphia
my
got the missing
gosh.
piece. Stop. There's no way.
They had a
There's no way.
receiver injury, but there's no way this is a
Oh my gosh. No. No. Goodness gracious. No.
I understand
I
the
love the
speculation. That's like
enthusiasm,
out
though.
there. That's
I
way
love
out.
the enthusiasm, though. Yeah, the enthusiasm's really
It
great.
never fails to throw that one. Harry with a 5. If Howie makes another move, when do you expect it to happen? What cornerbacks or teams do you expect the trade to be with?
Today, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, this week. I think it needs to be this week. I mean, obviously Howie can make a trade whenever he wants, but we just talked about it, and so you can sum it all up in one word. If you're trading, it's going to be for a DB, and if you're going to need a trade for a DB, do it ASAP, because you've seen Ja'Cory Bennett struggle early. He's starting to find his stride, but Vic Fangio wants you to have as many reps as possible in his system, and so the idea of trading for someone right now means you got to do it ASAP, because 2 weeks from now, before the season starts, it's too little too late. He won't even play in the Dallas Cowboy game if you trade for somebody, unless it's a superstar, which I don't think that they're going to do.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Let's see. Taekwon with the 5. Cooper makes it. They're going to keep 6. So interesting. You got to think through that one though. If you're taking 6, you got the 4 that we talked about. Johnny Wilson, added onto it, and then 5 Metchie, 6. You take Darius Cooper, I guess, and leave Anaya Smith out to see. There's
I think they would take.
being made.
I think they would take Anaya Smith and then they put Darius Cooper on the practice squad if they could. Right, obviously if they can make sure. But my guess is that because they spent a draft pick on Anaya Smith, they think he's improved a lot from last year. They would go ahead and lean towards the homegrown guy and then put Cooper on the practice squad and wait for an injury. That would be my guess.
Because unless another team signs Darius Cooper to their active roster, he can pick and choose which practice squad if he's getting multiple offers. And you got to imagine he would be like, yeah, I'm going to stay in Philly because he all the relationships, Aaron Moorhead, he knows the offense, he's building. So, and I can't envision even, yes, he's put some good tape out there. It's a little bit of a scary predicament to think that maybe some team would go, yeah, you know what, let's sign him. But it'd be like really in that limbo status because, I mean, Darius Cooper, we've heard it in press conference, he never had heard a play call before in the huddle. He had never done it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of rawness to his game to figure out that I don't know, does a team go, we haven't seen him in person. He's not been in our camp. He would have a lot to learn, but let's sign him. Let's take up one of the 53 spots. That might be a gamble that I could see Howie taking and saying, we'll just practice squad, definitely like what he has and maybe in the future. Josh H. running through these super chats, 5 here. Appreciate that. Only reason I see Jihaad Dotson being on the trade block is his rookie contract is going into year 4.
As in, he's in it right now because he's a free agent next year.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Just to move on from it, I guess, get something.
Yeah, but if you're another team, Josh, what makes you want to trade for Jihaad Dotson right now? He did nothing last year. You are trading if you really think Jihaad Dotson is at the heart of this, and he could be. We've talked about that, obviously. If you think Jihaad Dotson is the trade of all this, some team has to then convince themselves that you're going to get the Jihaad Dotson from 3 years ago, essentially 3 seasons ago, right? Because you're heading into this season. So that to me is a very
and they just saw how long it took him to get going because of the lack of chemistry.
Yes.
So they know that. So they have to be like, yeah, this will be different.
Done
we can get him in here and it'll be different. I'm with you.
I agree. But it could happen.
It could. There's crazier things, I suppose. Shaq with a 2, straight up nonsense, but appreciate the donation, Shaq. Josh, do you know how to play cornerback possibly? Nobody wants me out there doing that. No,
He's tall enough. Yep. Holy cow. He might be too tall, though. It's like you don't want a 6'2", 6'3" cornerback. It's not possible.
No. I might have the height. If they throw those goal line fades, I got a chance. Anything else, shiftiness, agility, forget it. It's
not happening.
It's awful. We don't want that. Steven with a 5. Let's be honest. If you played at Georgia or Alabama, Howie has you in his phone contacts. That's
what is this?
Certainly true.
The 8th Alabama player or some number like that in recent history. Yeah, SEC is clear. And Smitty. They asked Smitty. Obviously, they asked Smitty.
Oh yeah.
What are we getting? Obviously, and the Houston Texans, 7 trades now with the Houston Texans over the course of 5 to 6 years, I think is the number there. So Howie, I mean, the Eagles have they like what they like, and it works. That's the thing. So you're waiting on teams to start being like, maybe we should only draft SEC players, but they haven't started yet. But they like what they like.
Yeah. Interesting point too. We've seen the Eagles. Some Eagles players go to Houston and play a little better, and vice versa. Maybe so. You never know. Eli with the 3. I think it's the last super chat here. Love the streams and dedication from you guys. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you to
Hence
everybody.
why I'm in my father's office, which is what you see right here.
Yeah, in case people are
Air Force pilot gear behind us. That's what
people
we're
are
looking at here.
speculating. They're like, "Oh, Thomas hit 100K. He's changing up his look."
No, this is not. This is. I'm in Texas right now,
Yeah,
so
I was gonna say,
am not
little
close
bit,
to home.
a little bit different there.
Far away.
No, Jason. No, adding Josh to the exciting whites. It'll be unexciting, uninspired.
It would make it very
sluggish.
unexciting.
Yeah, no, it's not
Based on the play. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, I think we hit pretty much all the topics, all the speculation. Again, if people are just joining the Eagle, well, there's a couple super chats, so I will get to these. We appreciate those at the buzzer. It never fails. Every single time we get a couple more. I'll just say again though, for people joining late, you could go watch this thing back, the full
just start
takeaways
from the
and everything
beginning.
else. But the Eagles trading for John Metchie. Jordan Schultz saying that he thinks that there's or according to an AFC GM, but
according to
Eagles
AFC GM,
may not be done. More moves potentially to come, but the trade is virtually for nothing. 5th and 6th round pick swap. Harrison Bryant going to the Texans, and the Eagles get John Metchie. Tyler with a 10 bomb at the buzzer. Y'all kind of downplaying JD. He could be like Jerry Jeudy. Didn't resurrect his career, leaving yeah, I think he said didn't, but I think he meant did resurrect his career, leaving Denver to Cleveland. I mean, possible. It's.
Are we?
It feels like I mean we're hyped on Jihaad Dotson just to the certain extent of like because he's saying we're downplaying JD. It goes
We've been
back
the
to what
biggest
you
fans
said.
of Jihaad Dotson the entire offseason.
Right,
you had
right.
Jihaad Dotson on.
Yeah. No, I think
all
he's
we've
meaning
done
though
is
the
rave
sense
about
of I think he's meaning the sense of like what we were talking about a second ago of like is a team going to take a chance on Jihaad Dotson? And we expect Jihaad to do better and be good in Philly. I just don't know that it's a team saying like you just mentioned. And maybe they do. Maybe someone's like, man, we'll trade you a premium player for him, or they don't need more draft picks. Just draft pick and then parlay that into a different move. I don't know.
Howie would take more. Yeah.
We're not. Yeah, please hear us. We're not downplaying Jihaad. We're hyped for his season. We think that he could be good. Yes. It's just right place, right time, right team, and I don't know if that's for every situation. Trenton with a 2. Maybe this move means AJ is hurt. Bill, we had that comment a second ago.
We talked about that.
AJ hurt bad. According to reports,
that's
he's
not
fine.
true.
Yeah, but
reports.
Some things have come out later that have been. But I feel like he'll be good. He's gonna have 3, 4, 5 weeks.
He looks fine,
even if he takes a little bit. Yeah. So we'll keep everybody posted if we hear or see anything different. Deontay with a 5. We back, baby. I don't even get too much into it. We got the best GM in football, best quarterback, best receivers, O-line, running back, and defense. Watch.
Did he miss anything there? I think he names it all. I think he's got it all. And that's the beauty of being a Philadelphia Eagle fan because you know Howie Roseman's cooking and he makes mistakes, but this is a low risk. This is a no risk. There's no risk in this.
None.
All you have is high reward. That's it. It's low risk, no risk, high reward. Maybe you get something out of it, maybe you don't, and it costs you nothing.
Right.
So it's a positive no matter what actually happens, whether they make another trade or they don't.
Yeah. If John Metchie doesn't play a single snap for the Philadelphia Eagles, like in a regular season game, you're good. Didn't matter.
Yep.
James 5 here at the buzzer. We're going to wrap here in a second, so people could watch it back that are joining in the news. But hi, guys. We have to hide Darius Cooper and find a way to keep him. There was too much chatter about him last week on, I think it's GFB. I think that's Good Morning Football. I think it left out the end, but I think Good Morning Football is where I'd seen that. So, yeah.
Maybe that's why they didn't play Tanner McKee, because they wanted to hide Darius Cooper.
Yeah.
Could be. Because it was like, why didn't you play Tanner McKee yesterday? And they didn't want any of the receivers. Like, hey, hide these guys.
You got GMs and scouts checking in because there were 4 or 5 scouts in attendance. So maybe they're like, oh, you know what? Actually, Tanner's not going to play. And they go check the box score. They're like, what did Darius Cooper? Oh, 1 target, 0 catches? Oh, come on. No, we're not doing anything with that guy. Never done. Chess moves. That's what it is. All right. Like I said, appreciate you guys. Just wanted to hop on as we do for breaking news, things like that. A very unexpected trade, a very unexpected move from Howie Roseman. That's what he does, though. So stay tuned. If there's more moves that happen, whatever, you guys know we'll be jumping on live. More videos to come, recaps, everything else. So, Thomas, safe travels on your way back, and we'll see you pretty soon.
Sounds good.
We'll see you guys. Go Birds.
Go Birds.